This is the fourth in the series of using musical instruments during davening, and today we finally get to the people that allowed it. But in order to understand them, let's go through another person that didn't allow it, a great Gadol b'Yisrael, Rav Yosef Mashash. He was the chief rabbi of Haifa after making Aliyah from Morocco. He absolutely is against using musical instruments to welcome in Shabbos Friday night for the following 5 reasons. Number 1, nimshach mimenu chilul Shabbat b'knisato. People start playing the musical instruments, and unfortunately, many people are mistaken to think that Shabbos doesn't come in until Baruch Hu or Mizmor Shir. They're right if you make an early Shabbos, but if you make Shabbos on time, quote unquote, and you get closer to twilight, the minute Shkia comes, all bets are off, and unfortunately, they continue to play their musical instruments into Shabbos, thinking until they hear Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos minimum or maximum Baruch Hu, it's still not Shabbos. So, Chilul Shabbos is concern number 1. Concern number 2 is shedavar zeh siba lavi et hanashim lishmoa banigunim v'niyata ta'arovet gdola. Women come, and unfortunately men and women mingle in a way that he believes is not conducive to a healthy Jewish relationship. Number 3, Razal asru kol minei zemer bizman hazeh mishum churban hamikdash. As we said, part of our mourning over the destruction of the temple is not to play musical instruments, zulat b'simchan chasam v'kala, except for at a wedding. So why bring it into shul? Number 4, yesh b'zeh Torah chatzibor. Davening is much longer. And number 5, mishum chukot hagayim. Indeed, uvechukoteim lo telechu. They use an organ in their places of worship. We shouldn't. Based on those concerns, now let's see what Rav David Tzvi Hoffman says, quoting from a book called Eile Divrei Habrit that was published in the year Tuf Kuf Ayin Tet, either 1818, 1819. Amongst the views he brings there is the point of view that says, Svuke Misfafke, they didn't know. Like Rabbi Akiva Eger, he says, not so clear that you're allowed to play musical instruments even during the week. However, he says that Rav Shmuel Landa, who was the son of the famous Noda Yehuda, said, and I quote, "Ve'hamenagdim bekihilatenu beklei zamarim bekabbalat Shabbat," those that play musical instruments to welcome in Shabbos, no more and no less. Mechuyavim hamizamrim lahasiru lesalek miadam kli zemer chatzi sha'a kodem baruch hu. We made a rule. They have to put away the musical instruments half an hour before we say Baruch Hu. So, the concern of Rav Masas that they're going to go into Shabbos, v'lo hitanu rak b'chol hamoed, v'erev Shabbos v'erev Yontiv, kodem shetikanes kedushat Shabbos v'Yontiv, and we only allowed it way before Yontiv and Shabbos begins, and of course on Chol HaMoed, where you're allowed to play musical instruments. We brought up the concern of following the ways of the heretics. וגם את זה לא איתנו, כי אם על ידי ישראלים אנשים אשר יראת השם בליבם. We only allowed it by God-fearing Jews, not non-Jews, not heretics, but the most God-fearing Jews are the ones that are playing the instruments. And indeed, we have an actual testimony that no one can deny. שהעידו על דבר זה הגאון מורנו הרב הרץ שייר, בקהילת קודש פראג, נהגו לזמר ולקבל שבת בכלי זמר. How did they allow it? Hamitirim hichziku. They held shahaya gam bebeit hamikdash klei shir. Even in the Beis Hamikdash we used musical instruments. So why not use it in our small temples if we used it in the big temple? Obviously, if they used it in Kehilat Kodesh Prague, it's a good reason to allow it in other places. The Chasam Sofer himself said, "Should be a mekedem haya ugav bePrague bebeit hakneset al tnai." Indeed, there was none other than an organ, the most controversial musical instrument to use in davening, in the big shul in Prague, and they would use it, Terem Omra, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos, before they said Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos. And he adds that the great Bachor, probably a Yeshiva Bachor, showed him, that in an old siddur, next to Lichadodi, it says on it, the notes you should play, Be'ugav uvenevalim kodem Lichadodi. Literally, the notes you should use by playing musical instruments when you mekabel Shabbos. And indeed, there's a beautiful poem there that says that just like Shabbos is a kala, and we are the Jewish people of the Chassan, so too, since we're allowed to play musical instruments for Chas and Kala, we're allowed to play it to welcome in Shabbos. Therefore, Nira Mizeh, Shemipnei Shehitiru L'Nagenda von Chas and Kala, Gam Kemin Hil Lichvot Shabbos Malkata, V'Yisrael Ben Zuga. This will explain a famous story. There is a story alleged that the Maharal of Prague made a golem, and one Friday night he went ballistic, so he had to go out and kill him. And the people felt bad that he killed someone on Shabbos, so they said Mizmor Shel Yom Shabbos again, sort of to say we didn't Mekabel Shabbos yet. It was, even though they said it earlier, they repeated it. That's the alleged story. Well, came along Rav Dr. Daniel Sperber, wrote endless volumes called Minhagei Yisrael. I have 7 of them. I don't know if there's more today. And right at the beginning of the 4th volume, he brings the tshuva of the Kapei Aaron, Rav Aaron Epstein, who was Dayan in the Moret Tzedek in Prague. That in the shul in Prague called the Outline Shul that still exists today, I was in it, they say Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos twice. And then he explains why. Bebeit HaKnesset HaKdosha Hanal, in this holy shul, you mezamrin lechadodi b'klei shir. They would welcome in Shabbos with musical instruments. Ve'efshar tegam Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos amru b'klei shir. And they even said Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos with musical instruments. How can you do that? After all, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins in Simon Reish Samech Gimel Seif Dalid that Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos means you accepted Shabbos. Answer: they basically said it twice. The first time they did Mekabel Shabbos, then they put away their instruments and they said Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos. Now it's Shabbos. No more instruments. As you could see, it's not because of the golem. It's because they had a musical Kabbalah's Shabbos. From this perspective, not only was it an ancient custom in Prague, it was an established one that split the Jewish world indeed in the year 1818-1819, but we cannot deny that it was part and parcel of the shul experience. So what do we do with all the concerns that we mentioned? Well, first of all, we could say that we're not following the Goyim. We're doing it for good reasons, to Mekabel Shabbos. When you have a good reason, it's not Chukot HaGoyim. Number 2, you're worried about Chilul Shabbos, we made sure to make davening long before Shabbos began. Number 3, we mentioned the fact that it's part of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Well, Shabbos, Chol HaMoed, Yom Tov is off the books. It diverts attention. Maybe it only added and enhanced attention. We never saw it. What do you mean? We saw it in the Beis HaMikdash. And finally, the slippery slope, Rabbanim were behind it, and they made sure there would be no slippery slope. And if Rav Masas was worried about women coming to shul, well, Baruch Hashem, women and men come to shul, and usually only good things come out of it, not bad things. They meet in a very good place. Not to mention the fact that if it's Torah Chatzibor, davening's too long, you go to a shul that doesn't have it. So, from this perspective, we could see that it was done in shuls, and it did not in any which way impinge upon traditional Judaism.
כן אדבר בך נכבדו, איזה שמך חבר שיר ידידו.